Hey guys, and welcome to Pixel Cherry Ninja's channel. In this video we are going to be talking Analogue Pocket, and we're going to be looking at how we can get the most out of our devices. So before we begin guys, one thing that you really need is a micro SD card. I'm going to be running everything on Windows. There are Mac and Linux variants out there, but I don't use those operating systems, so everything you're going to see is for a Windows device. So if you wanted to follow the tutorial exactly how I'm going through all the steps, then a micro SD card, something to plug the micro SD card into your PC, and well, a PC. Now the Analogue Pocket started life as the ultimate Game Boy. It would run your Game Boy DMG games, your Game Boy Color games, and it would run your Game Boy Advance games. An adapter was released that would allow you to play Sega Game Gear games. Since then, more adapters have come to light which give you access to Neo Geo Pocket and Neo Geo Pocket Color, as well as the Atari Lynx and the PC-Engine. But guys, this is so much more than something that just plays some cartridges for classic systems. There's a whole other side, the openFPGA side. The openFPGA side gives you access to FPGA cores that developers work on. We've got some very good developers that are bringing stuff over to the Analogue Pocket, whether it's original cores or ports of existing FPGA cores and other systems coming over. We've got stuff like the NES, the SNES, the Mega Drive, Sega Master System, PC-Engine CD. Guys, there's a whole bunch of cores on there. The Neo Geo, as well as that, we've got like lots and lots of different arcade systems, favorites like CPS1, CPS2. We've got stuff like the entire Neo Geo catalog. Yeah, there's a lot guys. We'll go through some of the stuff and I'll show you some resources to look at that show you all the cores that are available. So guys, yeah, before we get into the video, if you're not subscribed to the channel, then a subscription and a like is always super duper appreciated. But yeah, let's get into this and let's see what we can get out of our devices. Okay, a couple of things to point out before we kind of begin the tutorial. Really important here, please ensure you have a good micro SD card, like something from a respectable brand, something like Samsung, SanDisk, even Amazon Basics is okay. Don't get yourself a cheap knockoff micro SD card. You will run into issues, right? And the other thing I want to point out here, in order to do this tutorial, you can do most of these steps here without having an Analogue Pocket. Let's just say, for example, you've ordered one, you know it's in transit, it's coming. Well, you can prep all this stuff up before, so by the time you get your Analogue Pocket guys, you are rolling, you are ready to go. So first thing first guys, make sure you're on the latest firmware. So you can grab the latest firmware from Analogue's website. I'll leave a link to it in the description, but you can see it up here, analogue.co. You go to support, go to Pocket, go to firmware. Now at the time of shooting this video, the latest firmware available is 2.2. Now to download it, click the downloads prompt. Once you've downloaded it, add it to your micro SD card, add the micro SD card or insert the micro SD card into your Analogue Pocket, and guys, you are golden. It will update it for you. But you know what guys, there's an easier way of doing it, right? So we have got a few updaters. This one here is Neil Morrison and it's called Pocket Sync. Guys, I have to say this is a very pretty updater. It's got excellent features and it feels like the iTunes, you know, remember iTunes, Apple iTunes? It feels like the iTunes version of that. It's just very pretty. It's done very nice. However, if you haven't got your Analogue Pocket already and you're just using a micro SD card, when you go to connect it to your Analogue Pocket, so what I want to use is this micro SD card here, which is the G drive. See, once I select that, it's just going to say to me that it doesn't have the Pocket file system. So you would either need to add the micro SD card to your Analogue Pocket so it creates the file structure on the micro SD card, then use Pocket Sync, or you would have to add the folders manually, right? Okay, so that's just something there in case you don't have your Analogue Pocket and you want to get something going before you get your device. You want to get your memory card set up. The other one that we have is Retro Driven's Pocket Updater. Again, an excellent choice, and this is what Pocket Updater looks like. Again, the options and everything in there. The focus of this video is going to be the third one we're looking at, which is Matt Panella's Pupdate. So once you go there, pick your operating system. I'm doing this on Windows because I'm a Windows guy. I don't have a Mac. I don't really use Linux. So pick your operating system, but everything you're going to see here is regarding Windows. Now I've already downloaded this, so let's go in here. Trust me, this is like the 5th or 6th take that I'm doing, so I didn't want to download it again on camera. But here you go. Once you download the latest version, you have got Pupdate, Pupdate Win .zip. So now let's go ahead and just extract that. So we're going to go, I use 7-zip, use whatever you guys use. So let's extract the files and Right, here we go. We've extracted that. Now for housekeeping, let's get rid of the zip file, right? So let me just go ahead and delete that. So one thing we want to do over here, guys, is the micro SD card we're going to use, let's format it, right? So I'm going to use Windows to format it. It seems to do a decent job. I've never had any issues formatting anything with Windows, just with like the default right-click format settings. Now, the Analogue Pocket supports FAT, or is it FAT32 and exFAT? Go with exFAT, right? Because there are some larger hard drive images available for stuff like the Amiga core, and also PC-Engine CD works better on exFAT. So that's what you want to go for. So let's just go ahead and format that micro SD card. Here we go. That is done. And so far, everything is real time, and I really hope I don't mess it up and I don't have to do another shoot. But here we go. So let's now go into the root of that micro SD card. So what we want to do is the extraction that we've made of Pupdate Win, let's now add that to the root of the SD card. So this is where Pupdate sits, right? And the advantage of this is if you're going around with your Analogue Pocket and you've got different PCs, it's not software that's on a PC, it's on the micro SD card of your Analogue Pocket. So you can plug it into any PC and run it, and it will do the update for you. I use a number of different PCs. Sometimes I even do it on like a work PC, for example, because I'm not adding any software to it. So that's really, really good. And this step here, this is only if you're a patron supporter of Hotego, then the jtbeta.zip that gives you access to the beta files, just add that to the root of your micro SD card, right? Because that way any beta cores it downloads will now be playable. And guys, that's kind of it. So what we want to do now is let's run the updater. So we don't have an Analogue Pocket at the moment, right? Let's just say, I mean, if you've got it, cool. If you haven't, run the updater and it will create the file structure for you. So this is a little advantage above Pocket Sync, where Pocket Sync, you need to have the file structure on there. It's easy enough to create or insert it in your Analogue Pocket and get it, but this one, it will just do it for you. So it's going to ask you, you know, there's new cores since the last run. Well, yep, because this effectively is our first run. Yes, do we want to install new cores? So I would recommend get at least a 64 gig micro SD card. I mean, I've gone for 512 because I've got PC-Engine CD games on there. I've got a whole bunch of stuff on there, and I'm not even half full, right? So 512 seems to be a good option if you want to future-proof it, but it's up to you what micro SD card size you go for. Just make sure it's a branded one, right? So let's go and click Y over here. Here we go. Now, so as you can see, there's a few options in here, and we'll go through some of the options throughout this video. But what we're going to do initially, guys, is let's just go option 0 and let's go update all. And guys, this update tool is pretty much gonna grab everything for you. Now, guys, maybe go off, go and have a meal, I don't know, go and speak to some loved ones, go and do something, because this is gonna take a long time. There's a whole bunch of cores available for it. It's gonna grab all the arcade ROMs for you. So we're talking like CPS1, the CPS2 set, which is, well, it's very, very large. It's gonna grab Sega System 16A. Guys, it's gonna grab a whole bunch of cores, right? And it's gonna take some time, maybe even like an hour and a bit. So give it some time for the first run and then come back later. So once the updater has finished running, it's going to grab like all the openFPGA cores for you, because you know what, guys, we told it to grab everything for us. As well as that, it's going to grab a whole bunch of arcade cores, including all the ROMs. What it doesn't grab for you, it doesn't grab the ROMs for, say, console systems like the Super Nintendo, the Mega Drive, the PC-Engine CD, stuff like the Neo Geo. So what we'll do is we'll kind of briefly have a look at my already done micro SD card with all the ROMs on there, and just to show you guys the file formats you require and where the ROMs need to go. As stated, the updaters will fetch the arcade ROMs for you, so you don't need to worry about that. But what you do want to concern yourself with is you want to add your own ROMs on there. Now, I can't link ROMs for you or help you with them, so please don't ask, guys. But provided you've got your ROMs collection on the root of your micro SD card. Now, if you see additional folders here that you don't have, don't worry so much about it. This is my main micro SD card and I mess around with it so much, I've probably got a lot of stuff on here that isn't actually required. But let's go back to the topic in hand. Where do we add our ROMs? So from the root of your micro SD card of your Analogue Pocket, head over to Assets. Now, let's say, for example, we want to add some SNES ROMs. So find the SNES folder here. go into the SNES folder, go into common, and within common is where you add your ROMs. Now, I've got them categorized into different things, but you can just have the raw ROM files in here. And just to give you an idea, guys, and this is a mistake many people make, so to point it out, make sure your ROMs are unzipped. A lot of people have collections on their PC that they use with emulators or front ends such as RetroArch. RetroArch and those programs on the PC will pick up ROMs if they're in .zip or .7z format. That's fine. The Analogue Pocket will not recognize those, so make sure you've extracted them, and I've got them as .sfcs. That's what I recommend you guys go with, right? So let's just have a look at some other stuff as well. So let's go. I want to show you guys Neo Geo, because I get a lot of questions about that as well. So Neo Geo again, within assets, then NG for Neo Geo. If you head over to common, and what you want to do is you want to get the dark soft pack, right? The dark soft pack, guys. Again, I can't link you to them, but do a search for them. They're definitely archived on the internet somewhere, right? So this is the kind of format you're going to have for the Neo Geo files, right? Again, make sure you get the dark soft pack. If you get the ones that are in Final Burn Neo, for example, they're not going to work. Dark soft pack, cannot emphasize that enough. Let's have a look at one more before we kind of go out there. So here we are, we're back in assets folder, and okay, what should we have a look at? Let's have a look at PC-Engine, right? Here we go, common. And within common again, I've got different folder structures in here. It's up to you whether you want lots of different sets or you just want a few games. Completely up to you. And as you can see, unzipped here, .pce. That's how you want your games, guys. And you know, go along. If you've gone with update, or you've got a whole bunch of cores in there. You don't need to use them all. You can delete some of the cores if you want, but add all the systems that you want and add all the assets for the particular cores that you would like to play. Guys, the Amiga is something you should definitely check out. It was a brilliant computer. I absolutely loved it. Played it a lot growing up. And now, you know what? You've got Amiga in your pocket. The guys at Amiga Vision have done a fantastic job creating like a front end and a package that just works amazingly well. And you know, at the beginning of the video, we spoke about formatting your micro SD cards to exFAT. Well, here's a good reason for it. So head over to Amiga Vision, then click download. And once you go to download, it will take you over, well, it will conduct a search for you on archive.org, which will then take you over to the image. So just go under, you know, I understand, and I'm using the search, and you go there, right? But if we have a look at our micro SD card now, and again, if we go from the beginning, assets, and then Amiga, right, here we go. Again, what you download from that Amiga Vision kind of link and search is this stuff over here. Once you get that, as you can see, look, that image there is 9 gig. That will not fit on a FAT32. So again, exFAT is absolutely paramount for getting the Amiga core working. Add all that stuff that you get from there in your Amiga common folder, and guys, you have got a brilliant Amiga front end to mess around with. Okay, so you know, we're feeling good now. We've updated our Analogue Pocket, we've added some ROMs, we've got a whole bunch of arcade cores, but let's now get a little bit extra. So let's run Pupdate again from your SD card inserted into a PC, and let's now check option number 7. Now this might change in the future, but what you're looking for is Pocket Extras. Now once we go into Pocket Extras, then go to additional assets, and when we go to additional assets, well, there's additional variations of the cores. So you can see down here we've got some additions to Donkey Kong and Radarscope from Eric Lewis. Sorry, that's not something I've checked out. The stuff that I was really interested in was download extras for Hotego's Bubble Bobble, but more so CPS1, CPS 1.5, CPS 2 and JT Pang, right? For example, if you download the extras that are available, for example, for CPS 2, it will get you to get different versions of the game, right? Including hacks like New Legacy. It will get you like all the colorblind modes. So you know, Pocket Extras is definitely worth checking. So if you've got space on your micro SD cards, guys, just run them. You're going to get a whole bunch of extra games. There's some really good ROM hacks on CPS1 and CPS2. Definitely try them out. But initially, it will give you extra games for you guys to well, try and mess around with. Okay, so if you've added some PC-Engine CD games to your Analogue Pocket, one thing you want to make sure that you do, guys, is let's go down to option number 5, which is Pocket Setup. Once we're in there, here we go, go with this, generate instance JSON files for PC-Engine CD, and we'll pick option 3 or just press enter. So here you go. I've already got them on there. It's going to overwrite them. As you can see, I've got quite a bunch of games here. It does it quickly. This will then give you the JSON files to allow PC-Engine CD games to work correctly on your Analogue Pocket. Okay, so when running openFPGA, do you want to see some nice pretty artwork? Well, you know what guys, the community has you covered. So let's go down to option 5 again, Pocket Setup, and here we go, download platform image packs. And as you can see, there's a number of different ones we can get here. So Spiritualized, Diashlock, Terminator 2K2, Mega ZX Retro, Skyblaze, Shisha 43 are some of the people that have contributed to this, right? So let's download some. So I'm going to go with Diashlock Arcade. And yeah, as once that downloads, guys, you can do different ones for your home images. So there's different variations there as well, right? So you've got, if you look at the Diashlock one, Diashlock Pocket Platforms Image Home, which will likely be the USA version, but I am from the UK, right? So if I want the home one, if you're from Japan, you can have the Japanese images. I'm going to go with PAL because that's what we had here in the UK. So again, you can choose whichever ones you want, different ones for arcades, different one for homes. There's different ones out there. Go through them, try a few different ones, whatever you like, guys, but it's nice to have these art packs there. They definitely look very, very nice on the Analogue Pocket screen. Something great that the Analogue Pocket offers, it offers different visual filters and display modes. Well, you know what, let's activate some of those. So with Pupdate, again, we're going to go to number 5, Pocket Setup, and when we go here, first thing to download is, well, option number 2 here, download Gameboy Palettes. So let's go ahead and do that. Let it run its course, guys. Like these palettes are good. There's a whole bunch of good visual effects on there, and you definitely want to check those out. Okay, now the next thing we want to have a look at, let's move it down a couple to enable all display modes, right? So now all the display modes that are available for certain cores, well, now you know what, guys, they're just available across the board. You can pretty much mix and match, and you can come out with some very, very strange yet refreshing results. This is something that I used to use quite a fair bit when I first got my Analogue Pocket. It was patching stuff over so it works on Dot Pocket. Now there were some advantages to this. For example, you could use the screen filters, you can put them to sleep. They kind of almost worked like cartridges. Now there is one downside of this. You can't do like multiplayer gaming with this. So if you use a link cable and you connect it to another Analogue Pocket or a Game Boy, it just doesn't work. However, it's still quite a decent option, and I think it's worth putting in this tutorial. So what this will do, this will make GB Studio games and it will convert them to Dot Pocket files so they can run on your Analogue Pocket. So you can convert some of your GB games. We'll do one in this video, guys. Now, bear in mind, each patch needs to be created by a user, so not every single Game Boy game is there. However, all the popular games are there, all your Pokemons are there, or like in my case, we're going to try and do one, and here we go. We're going to do Tetris, right? So as soon as I select that and I go in there, right, it's giving me a couple of options, right? So it's giving me, it will now convert Tetris to a Dot Pocket, and it will also offer me, well, it's offering me a ROM hacker Tetris, which is Tetris plus Rosie Retrospection, guys. That's a very, very good ROM hack. So yeah, we can download both of them or do them individually, however you want to do it. So let's go ahead and do that. So now that we've downloaded those two here we go. That's my downloads folder. That's the root of the Analogue Pocket SD card. So that's the two Dot Pocket files. So that's the original one, .gb. It's converted them to Dot Pocket. Not so much now. We've got openFPGA. We can have our ROMs collection on there, but you know what, guys, it's still kind of nice. I've still got my ones on my Analogue Pocket, and where these go, on the root of your micro SD card, you're going to find a folder called GB Studio, right? And in GB Studio, you have got all your Dot Pocket files. I've converted quite a number, like my favorite Game Boy games. So you can just drag and drop those in there, copy those over. Yep, I've got them in there already, but for the sake of the video, let's overwrite them. And guys, you know, the Dot Pocket stuff, it's definitely worth checking out. In this section over here, we're going to look at how we can create .rom files for our Analogue Pocket ourselves. So the reason, or what exactly are .rom files? So when we have an arcade core, so if you're used to something like the Mister, when you have an arcade core, on the Mister you've got a folder called games. Within that you've got a folder called MAME, and in that folder you just add the MAME zip. that corresponds to the game. So for an example here, we're going to use Robotron as an example. So on the Mister, you would just add robotron.zip from MAME and that will make the game run. However, on the Analogue Pocket, it's slightly different. You need to convert that MAME.zip, so robotron.zip, to a .rom file. That is how the Analogue Pocket will recognize it. Now guys, you mostly won't need to use this. Team Update are absolutely awesome. They're very quick at getting stuff done, but sometimes, for example, a new core or a new arcade core will come out and I'm like, I want to play this, I want to make a video on it straight away, or I can't wait. So whatever your reason is, if you want to convert it manually, it's an important and a good process to know. So I'll leave this tool linked in the description of the video, mra.exe. So download this. How you can download it, you can just right click it and save link as, and then just choose a destination and it will save that for you. I've already got it saved and downloaded, but I will link this stuff in the description. And then the next thing we are having a look at, the openFPGA Robotron core from obsidian.dev. Once again, I've got that downloaded, but if you want to download it for yourself, I'll leave a link to this as reference if you want to try it out for yourself. But just go code, click the little arrow next to code and go to download zip. And once you've downloaded the zip, well, you've downloaded the zip, and here you go. So this is my folder here. This is the Robotron core. I've extracted it. That's the mra.exe tool that I have downloaded. So what we do, let's go into openFPGA, into this folder here. Now let's go into the MRA folder. So wherever your MRA file is, have a look at that. We're going to do Robotron as an example over here. So open the MRA file with a text editor. As you can see over here, we've got it open. Now what you're looking for, so you know what ROM this requires, when you look at set name, under set name, we have got Robotron, and that is what we are looking for. That is the name of the MAME.zip we're looking for. So I'm using MAME version 0.260. Different versions can work, but the one I'm using is 0.260, and that always works for me without issue. I know there's newer versions out, I just haven't updated yet. So Robotron, that is what we're looking for. So what we'll do then is let's just copy this MRA over so we can have it all in one place. So a folder anywhere, if you've got these files in the same folder, right? So what you want is you want the Robotron 2084 MRA, then you want mra.exe that we downloaded, and then I am now going to add the robotron.zip, which is the main ROM. Now in order to create a .rom file, what we need to do, guys, is see this Robotron 2084 MRA. Now this will be for whatever game you're doing, right? So rinse and repeat this. So left click it and hold it, then drag it over mra.exe, and here you go. You're going to see in just a second it's created the Robotron .rom. Now that is the ROM the Analogue Pocket requires to play. Now I'll just emphasize again, you're not going to use this in most cases, guys. This is just in the event that something's not on the updater, or you just like doing stuff manually yourself, then you can do stuff manually yourself. So what we'll do, let's go back into the openFPGA Robotron core. So if we go into distribution, you're going to see the file structure for the Analogue Pocket. Assets goes with assets, cores goes with cores, then we've got platforms with platforms, and presets with presets. So everything will just merge, right? So what we do here, guys, is we'll go into assets, go into Robotron, go into common, and what we'll do is we will add that ROM in there. Now once you've got that in there, we have got the correct file structure. We've got assets, cores, platforms, presets. Everything we need is already in these. We've added the Robotron ROM over into the assets folder, right? Like we did over here, Robotron common. That's our ROM file in there. Now what you can do is we can copy and paste this or drag and drop it, wherever you want to do. I'll just drag and drop it because it just feels easier, and we'll put that in here. Now I've already got this stuff on here, so it's going to ask me if I want to replace it. We'll replace it, and that's really it. Once you've done this and you've run it through this process and you've added the files onto your Analogue Pocket, you're good. You have converted a game manually and it will run. Like I always say, the updaters do this for you, but I feel it's important to know this stuff because, you know, if something isn't on there, you can do it manually and you can feel like, yeah, man, I did this myself. And guys, if you're ever curious about the cores that are available for openFPGA, well, you know what, guys, there is an actual inventory that shows you all the cores that are available. And you can see, guys, we have got a lot of cores. We've got a lot of arcade cores, we've got a lot of console cores, and we've got some computer cores as well. And something to kind of point out here, so if you're finding there's a specific core, I'm kind of specifically referring to Hotego stuff here. If you're finding some cores you're getting credits rolling up and you don't have access to the controls, is because that core might be in beta. And a thing to look out for, look at here, Splatterhouse. If there's a lock next to it, it means that core is currently in beta. It will be released publicly, and the only way you can have access to them while it's in beta is by subscribing to Hotego's Patreon. So hopefully that answers a lot of questions for you guys, but this is a very, very useful piece of information. You can see exactly all the cores are available, the different versions of the core. It's a very, very good resource to have. Okay, in this section here, guys, we're going to talk about some good places to hang out for the Analogue Pocket, in particular Discords, right? So if you're a member of Discord, I'll leave invitation links to all these Discords in the description of the video. But first and foremost, guys, this is without a doubt the best place for Analogue Pocket information, or the best Discord is definitely the FPGA Gaming Discord. Now, they're not limited to Analogue or Analogue Pocket stuff. They cover everything FPGA, so Mr. Replay 2, name it, you can talk about it here. But I would say that they definitely specialize in analog stuff. So if there's stuff that is unclear in my video, you need a little hand with something, check this Discord out. Honestly, big bunch of friendly people, have been super helpful since I've been on the scene. I really like this place, and in any of these Discords, feel free to ping me and say hello. I always like it when you guys ping me and say hello. But yeah, definitely check it out. Invite link in the description. This is what you want to join. Right, next one, the Pixel Cherry Ninja Discord. All right, it's not the busiest Discord, but you know what, it's my Discord and I like it. And if you want to come and chat over there as well, we do speak Analogue Pocket as well as other FPGA gaming platforms such as the Mr, etc, etc. And finally, the third one that I would recommend for the Analogue Pocket is Hotego's JT FPGA server. Hotego brings a lot of cores, especially if you're a fan of arcade cores. He brings a lot of cores out there. Now, whether you're a Patreon supporter or not, it doesn't really matter. If you want to speak to like-minded people and you want to report issues or get some help, there's a decent community here. So those are the 3 Discord servers that I recommend. First and foremost, guys, best one, FPGA Gaming, and then my Discord server and Hotego's Discord server are also awesome places to check out. Guys, just want to point out here that this step is completely optional and I am not financially associated with Hotego. I'm just a really, really big fan. So Hotego brings a whole bunch of arcade cores over. That's what he specializes on. He's brought systems like CPS-1, CPS-2, Sega System 16, a lot of the Konami games, a lot of the Namco games. Now, the vast majority of what I just mentioned there, stuff like CPS-1, CPS-2, they are publicly available. However, if you want to kind of fund and support FPGA core development, then Hotego's Patreon is a great place to start, as well as funding it and having a good feeling knowing that you're contributing towards FPGA core development. You also get early access to beta cores, right? So before they're publicly released, you can test them. If there's any bugs in there, you can report them. Honestly, you can have a lot of fun with the betas, but I just wanted to mention that in there because I do feel strongly about it and it's something that I've been supporting since I got into FPGA gaming. Okay guys, well that kind of wraps it up for this guide. I really hope you found it useful and I hope you've got your Analogue Pocket up and running with, well, everything out there, whether you're playing arcade games, whether you're playing console or computer cores via openFPGA, or whether you're just running your cartridge collections like your Game Boy, your Game Gear, your PC-Engine, your Neo Geo Pocket cartridges on your Analogue Pocket. So if there's any additional information that I feel I can add, check the pinned comment for this video. If there is anything out there, I'll make sure I add it. But in the meantime, guys, enjoy your Analogue Pocket, whether it's in handheld, whether it's docked, it's absolutely awesome. I want to take this opportunity to thank all the developers that are involved in bringing awesome cores over to the Analogue Pocket, and I also want to send props to Analogue for making an absolutely awesome device that is just getting so much support. So that's really it for this video, guys. If you're not subscribed to the channel, then a subscription and a like is super duper appreciated. Be awesome to one another, guys. This is Pixel Cherry Ninja out.